My name is Bobby. I was born December 27, 1935 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Moved to the state of Washington, and I was living there when World War II broke out. I remember we had silhouettes of all the different airplanes, the other guys' airplanes, so we could identify them if they flew over. And, I grew up with all that. We didn't have TV, we had a radio. So I listened to radio. We came to Oregon, and I lived in Oregon most of my young life. Still got friends that I went to high school with that I talked to on a weekly basis. And I was the oldest of four, and I have a younger brother. I have a sister that's deceased. Now she died of cancer. And I have one that lives in North Plains, Oregon, kind of demanding sometimes. My little brother used to tell all the bullies on the block, "You better stop it or I'm going to tell my big brother." And he became a Marine, and he protected me. My mother never worked. She pretty much stayed and took care of things. She was very kind. She was very involved with church things. My dad was probably the finest man you ever met. He loved everybody. My dad and I used to go fishing a lot, and we'd go deer hunting in the fall. I was pretty much involved with everything, and I used to sing in a group called the Debonaires. I was baritone. We had a trio, like the four freshmen, the four lads, the four aces, that kind of thing. And we used to sing pretty popular songs, and we sang on TV a couple times. Tried out for a talent show, and in the meantime, there was still a draft going on. One of the guys wasn't eligible for draft because he was a truck farmer, and the other two of us were, and Vietnam was coming up. And so we both joined the Air Force to keep from getting drafted. Got to see the world, got to see history, the things that I read about, all the islands in the Pacific, and I got to see most of that stuff. And I spent a year on the island of Guam and the Mariana Islands, and I loved it. We had our days that was kind of testy and tough, but most of all, it was just an experience. Nobody was shooting at me. Big difference. I was in a thing called SAC, Strategic Air Command, and I was in security police. We maintained security on a flight line for all the bombers because they all had atomic bombs on them. I left at Airman First Class, which is just one rank below sergeant, and my 4 years were up. They wanted me to re-enter the Air Force, and I said, no, I've got other things to do. I wanted to go to radio and television broadcasting school because when I was in high school, I had a radio program, and it never happened because I had a wife and a child, and the GI Bill didn't cover the school I wanted to go to. We used to date in high school. We just corresponded, letters and stuff. We knew each other, had dated quite a bit before I went in. And it just one thing led to another, and it ended up in a church getting married. It was fun. We had some good years. We had some bad ones. It ended up in divorce. Her name was Donna. His name is Scott. Lives in Lake Elsinore. Oh, it was great. He was involved in junior All-American football. We used to go to football games, and he was a good kid. We did a lot of things together, he and I. And we used to go sailing. We'd go to Catalina and back. And I graduated from a school called Sales Training Institute in Portland, Oregon. I wanted to get into sales because I was pretty good at it. I went to the Sales Training Institute, and I graduated at the top of the class. And then I was at a family reunion, and my aunt's second husband, who was a Navy vet, and I were talking, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him. He said, "You interested in maybe moving to California?" And I said, "Depends." I took a trip down, interviewed for the job, and took the job, and I started working in a warehouse. Every day I'd go up to the boss's office and say, "I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go out on the road." I became an outside salesman. They gave me a company car and all the insurance and a gas card. I covered San Bernardino, Riverside, parts of Los Angeles and Las Vegas, Nevada. And he and his mom and I were involved in the business. I started it, and she came on board just to answer the phone and take care of clerical type things. It's called Pacific Southwest Industries. We were originally a manufacturer representative company. We represented people from New York and Chicago and stuff, and represented them in our market in the Southern California area. Plumbing industry, faucets and plumbing, and all the things that go along with that, electronic things that they use for pumping systems. It evolved into a distribution business, and all we did was pumps. We designed and built pumping systems. When I left the business, I had to, because we had a recession and there was just not enough to go around. My son has got the contract with Walmart Corporation, does all of their stuff. He does overseas things, and he's quite successful. He acts now as a consultant, and he makes sure everything runs right, but he's got somebody else running the business now. So I went to work for a company in Minnesota as a regional sales manager. I traveled the western United States from Montana all the way to Hawaii and Alaska. I was their go-ahead guy. I took care of all the original equipment manufacturers throughout the United States. I was there for about 3.5, 4 years. Got an offer I couldn't refuse for a company in Ohio, and I was with them until I retired. I have 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter, 1 great-grandchild. After I got married, I found out that I had a mechanical aptitude, and I became a woodworker. I've got all the tools and stuff, and I love building picture frames and chairs and tables, and so it's just been fun. It's a hobby. I can't do it anymore because all my equipment's back at my son's house, and I write a little bit too. Not poetry, limericks, rhymes. Everybody here I'm acquainted with because I like people. You know, I enjoy talking with people, and I sit with different ones that when I go to dinner at night, I don't sit with the same guy every night. I like the attitude of all the people that run this place. Everybody's up. The staff here is just extremely friendly. The very first day I went into dinner, and everybody here called me by my first name, every employee. And I thought, whoa, I couldn't believe it. And I said, how do you do that? They said, we're required to do that. We got to memorize your name. I can't say enough about the waiters in the dining room. They're just super nice kids. I don't know. It's a good place. It's very secure. Everybody here is nice, and it's just a fun place to be. You wake up in the morning happy.